The WWE's annual match, known as the Royal Rumble, is always, as I've said many times, one of my all-time favourite matches and part of the WWE calendar. All the elements the match contains make it a spectacle, from guessing who will enter the match next, the surprise entrance, which is my biggest highlight of a Rumble match, signs of who is next in line to be on the road to WrestleMania, and even getting treated to 2 Rumble matches annually since 2018. It's more than enough to make us all want to tune in for the Royal Rumble every January. Some other promotions have tried to do their own Rumble-inspired matches, an example of that being the Countdown to Armageddon match from WCW. That one worked under Rumble rules, and while it wasn't on the same level as the WWE's main attraction, at least they tried to pull off a Royal Rumble style match of their own. Another organisation who gave their fans their answer to the Royal Rumble was a little promotion based in Philadelphia, which I'm sure you've all heard of. It's called Extreme Championship Wrestling. Taking place in 1996 in Middletown, New York, ECW fans were treated to a novelty of a Battle Royal that was contested under Royal Rumble rules, and it was known as the King of the Hill Battle Royal, but this one also contained some other rules, and we will come to those right now. The way the match goes is like this. It's basically the same as the Royal Rumble, but in this bout, the interval timings don't seem to all be the same length, meaning some guys entered sooner than others, and there was no countdown clock or announcement when another entrant was going to join the match. There were 20 participants in the bout, and not the traditional 30 we get in the WWE. Now, the additional rules for this match are that 1. As well as eliminations occurring via over the top rope, guys can also be eliminated via pinfall and submission too. And 2, teams can enter the match together, and if all or just one of the team members wins, then the team themselves are declared the co-winners of the King of the Hill Battle Royal. Regarding the additional rule of pinfalls and submissions, it can be said that this match has elements of both the main event from In Your House Final 4 in 1997 and the Royal Rumble match itself. The elements of the Royal Rumble are that the staggered entrance and eliminations via over the top rope are in the bout, whereas the Final 4 match elements are eliminations via pinfall, submission or over the top rope as well. So yeah, this King of the Hill Battle Royal does come across as a bit of a hybrid of both the aforementioned matches. Right, let's move on and take a look at ECW's version of a Royal Rumble match. We have Joey Styles in the ring welcoming the fans, and then Taz's music plays, and when the Tasmaniac enters the ring, he tells Styles that if he isn't one of the 2 participants starting in the match, then he won't be competing at all. Basically, Taz wanted to start the match alongside his arch rival, Sabu, who after some prompting from Taz and the fans in attendance, then shows up in the ring, and Sabu is our first entrant. Whilst staring down Taz, our next entrant storm the ring. It's the Eliminators, John Kronos and Perry Saturn, one of 3 teams who are in this Battle Royal. Immediately, the Eliminators hit the total elimination on Sabu, while Taz looks on and continues his verbal taunting. Sabu then gets another total elimination from Kronos and Saturn as Taz high-fives the duo and then leaves the ring. While still beating down Sabu, the Eliminators are then joined by the next entrants. They are New Jack and Mustafa, the Gangsters, the second team taking part in the bout. The 2 teams do battle while Sabu takes a back seat for a bit. Taz is then shown walking away and shouts at the camera more threats to Sabu. Mustafa gets the total elimination, and after New Jack gets one as well, we get the first eliminations of the match when the Eliminators toss Mustafa over the top rope, followed by New Jack following suit too. Kronos and Saturn resume their beatdown on Sabu and then hit a spike piledriver on him. Following this, we have entrant number 4, Sabu's tag team partner Rob Van Dam. RVD has no trouble taking on both Eliminators, and Sabu eventually joins in and evens out the battle. The duo give Perry Saturn a double clothesline, and then John Kronos gets one for his troubles. Entrant number 5 comes down, it's Balls Mahoney, and he goes straight to Perry Saturn by throwing fists in the corner, while John Kronos is double teamed by Sabu and Rob Van Dam. Whilst more brawling takes place in the ring with those inside it, Spike Dudley comes out as our 6th entrant, and he too goes after Saturn as Van Dam nails a springboard kick on Balls Mahoney. Spike is seen biting Saturn, but John Kronos breaks things up. We then see Sabu clothesline Saturn and goes for a pinfall, but Perry kicks out at 1. Saturn retaliates with a Tiger Bomb as entrant number 7 comes down, Little Guido, and Saturn is the first man Guido turns to. Honestly, poor Perry Saturn has now become a bit of a punching bag for those who enter the match. John Kronos ends Guido's attack on Saturn, and Spike Dudley then falls victim to a total elimination, which results in Spike getting eliminated via a pinfall, and this is the only elimination that occurs via pinfall in the match. Following the elimination of Spike, Bubba Ray Dudley comes out as the number 8 entrant, and Little Guido starts throwing punches on Bubba Ray, who keeps no selling them. Following a headbutt, Bubba Ray press slams Little Guido and eliminates him via over the top rope. Balls Mahoney is seen trying to get rid of Rob Van Dam, while Bubba Ray and Sabu do battle in the corner before Sabu gets clotheslined by John Kronos. The next eliminations occur with Rob Van Dam, followed by Balls Mahoney, both getting eliminated by Bubba Ray Dudley, and Bubba gets attacked by the Eliminators. So at this stage we have the Eliminators, Sabu and Bubba Ray Dudley still in the match. Entrant number 9 comes to the ring, Chris Candido, who enters with no music playing in the background. Candido immediately shakes Perry Saturn's hand upon entering, and the two double clothesline Sabu. As Perry Saturn nails a Saturn bomb on Sabu, Candido nearly goes from the match by Bubba Ray Dudley. Sabu counters an Irish whip into the corner and goes for a springboard crossbody, but Joan Kronos ends up in the crosshairs and goes down as entry number 10 enters, Brian Lee. Bubba Ray Dudley ends up going over the top rope, but he manages to hang on, and the camera misses Chris Candido eliminating John Kronos of the Eliminators. Joey Styles on commentary acknowledges the elimination, just as Bubba Ray is then eliminated by Brian Lee and through a table. Next out is the franchise Shane Douglas at number 11. Shane joins Chris Candido beating down Sabu, who is on the top turnbuckle, and then turns his attention on Perry Saturn with the help of Brian Lee. Douglas poses in the ring and then gets a look of concern on his face as the music of entrant number 12 plays. It's Tommy Dreamer. He's next out and he brings a chair to the ring. Douglas gets behind Lee and Candido as Dreamer ambushes both men and tries to get at Douglas, but the franchise decides no thanks, not tonight, and he eliminates himself from the Battle Royal. Sabu uses the chair for an air Sabu on Brian Lee in the corner. Dreamer then grabs the chair and smacks Brian on the back, so now 5 men are currently in the match as more entrants are due to come down. Candido is double clotheslined by Sabu and Dreamer as Devon Dudley enters the match at number 13. Sabu pins Candido, who manages to kick out. Devon goes right at Tommy Dreamer while Sabu throws the chair on Perry Saturn's head, and Saturn then tackles Sabu to the mat and gives him some right hand blows to the face. Brian Lee is then seen using the chair on Devon Dudley and then on Dreamer. When Dreamer gets the chair again, Devon gets a right hit to the head and Sabu goes for a cover, but Devon manages to kick out. The number 14 entry is next out. It's the Sandman, and he does a sort of a weak looking tackle to Perry Saturn before giving Perry a load of his fist to the face. Perry Saturn ends up being the next man eliminated thanks to Brian Lee, thus both the Eliminators are now gone from the match. Sabu hits a springboard moonsault on Devon Dudley and again goes for a pinfall, and again Devon kicks out. Entrant number 15 then runs down. It's Louis Spicoli. Spicoli goes straight to work on Chris Candido and almost immediately eliminates Candido, who then tries to get back in the ring but is stopped by the officials. Back in the ring, Devon Dudley then gets power slammed by Spicoli. Tommy Dreamer nails a splash on Devon, followed by a diving leg drop from Sabu, but it still isn't enough to eliminate Devon via a pinfall. Dreamer punches Brian Lee and takes a run at Brian, but it results in Dreamer getting eliminated. Louis Spicoli then climbs onto Brian Lee's back, and this leads to Spicoli being next to go from the match. While Devon Dudley works on the Sandman, the final entrance music plays, and it's the 3 members of the Blue World Order, Big Stevie Cool, Hollywood Nova and the Blue Meanie. The trio enter through the crowd and Stevie taunts Devon Dudley, and after ducking a clothesline hits a super kick on Devon, and this results in Devon getting eliminated. Nova and the Meanie continuously pose to the crowd as Brian Lee looks at them, and then he clotheslines both men over the top rope. So Sabu, Brian Lee, Big Stevie Cool and the Sandman remain in the match. Sandman gets a super kick from Stevie after he dodges a clothesline. When he looks at Brian Lee and raises his arm, Lee kicks Stevie and throws him out, and we're down to the final 3. Whilst the Sandman continuously throws punches on Brian, Sabu exits the ring and he brings another chair into the ring. Sandman is then eliminated, and Sabu then runs and leaps off the chair and clotheslines Brian Lee over the top rope, and that leaves Sabu the winner of the King of the Hill Battle Royal. So, the match itself overall. Well, I admit the additional rules of teams entering together, along with pinfalls and submissions also being allowed for eliminations, seemed interesting. So, at least it comes across as a variation of the WWE's Royal Rumble. This was, as mentioned earlier, the only time ECW put together their own Rumble match, and so we have WCW with the Countdown to Armageddon match, and ECW with the King of the Hill Battle Royal. So for those of you who are also Royal Rumble fans and have seen every one of the Royal Rumble matches, including the televised bouts too, but have not yet come across this match from ECW, I reckon it's worth giving it a watch just to witness it. Does it come recommended, you may ask? Well, that's up to you. All I can say is the match does feel more of a wild brawl, but not too severely. We did get some good spots in the bout, mainly from Sabu if I'm honest. It's not an hour-long match, just below half that on the whole actually. The pacing of the bout was fine, the timing of the eliminations wasn't too bad, but the genuine article called the Royal Rumble will never be topped. But I do appreciate Paul Heyman and ECW for giving us this novelty of a Rumble variation. Only minor letdowns was that there was no official prize for the winner, like a title shot or anything like that, or at least not to my knowledge it didn't. And also I feel they could have included a couple more eliminations via pinfall in the match too. Again, if this outsider of a Royal Rumble match is for you, then check it out and see what you think of the bout. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.